Hey YouTube, welcome back. You're on Beyond the Manual. And today we're going to be looking at the modifications made to the air compressor you see behind me. So stay tuned. So here is the air compressor that we are taking a look at today. A lot of these will apply to many different brands of air compressor. This one happens to be an Ingersoll, as you can see here. That's the model number. That's the motor information. And I just wanted to go over a few of the modifications that I've done to this. Obviously, you can see I have a control panel on here, and I built this, again, mostly because I'm lazy, but this has a daily drain function where I can have it set to, hey, just open up the drain valve on the bottom using an Evil Bay solenoid valve and a water separator. To do cyclic every day, I can just turn it off if I'm going to be gone or not in the shop. I have this one set up for cyclic drain, so there's a little controller in here that monitors when the pressure switch goes active, and after a cycle it will then drain. So a bunch of different options. In the off position, I can manually hit the drain, and all I'm doing is opening up that valve through that water separator using that. We're not going to go over too much of that today. This was more of just a little science project that I did a long time ago. But as you can see, like most compressors, the drain for the oil everything is in a bad place. I actually like to maintain this equipment because this is a very expensive unit, and I'm hoping this lasts me for my entire life. So what I've done is I've just removed the sight plug, which is a 1/2-inch pipe thread, and I just put an extension on here to get past my electrical connectors, a coupling, and then I just reinstalled that sight window. Now, yes, this does take a little bit of extra oil to fill this pipe up, but in the grand scheme of things, it's very minimal. And now I can just hold the coupling, turn out the sight glass, drain the oil out. Makes that process much, much better. The other thing I'm doing is I do have some distributed air lines in the shop. I did this earlier in the year when I finally finished the shop, and I really like it. I have the ability to shut off different circuits of air. This kit came from a store here in the Midwest called Northern Tool. I assume that's a national chain, but in case it's not, that's where I got the kit from. Pretty reasonable. You don't have to be a plumber by any means. The push connector fittings have held up very well, have not had any issues. But this allows me to kind of label these by color. That correlates with different places in the shop. So I can kind of turn on and off those valves as I need to because, well, making compressed air is very expensive. It uses a lot of electricity. The other biggest modification that I've done, probably my favorite, and I got this off a Google web search one night when I couldn't sleep, but I ran into an issue when I was painting that guy, that this was running so hard and for so long that I was getting a ton of water, like filling up my water separators, starting to affect, at least at that point when I was priming the car. And I said, enough's enough, there's got to be a better way. So I believe they call this, I call it a radiator, but it's made specifically for air compressors. It has a 300 PSI burst rating, maybe a little higher, I'd have to look. I'll put the information and links from Amazon down in the description below. But what it does is it allows the extremely hot air coming out of the pump to go through that radiator, which you can just see I have mounted on some strut on the back wall, crisscrosses, comes out the bottom into a water separator, and then from there back into the tank through this line. Now what I have found, this was in a couple other videos, bits and pieces, but I really didn't feel like replumbing that or the air pressure switch. It's tight in there. Some of these use some goofy threaded fittings. I didn't really feel like ordering 50 of them to try to find the one I needed. I'm not a plumber. So this worked very well for me. What I did was I first loosened this piece here. This used to turn and screw right into the pump, right? So it'll go from the pump directly into the discharge pipe into the tank. Now this line would get extremely, extremely hot. Probably north of 300 degrees, if I'm gonna guess. So now I was able to unscrew that. This I rethread to a 1/2-inch NPT. This is an adapter, so it goes from this is 3/8 to a 1/2-inch. And then into these flexible lines. These are braided, reinforced stainless steel lines, good for super high pressure, super high temperature. And again, those came from Amazon. But that's ultimately what I have going into then the top of that radiator. And I'll see if I can get this here, but on the bottom then, I have that I have that water separator right here that also came from Amazon. Super happy with that product. It has a self-draining feature. So far, I've never had to mess with it. And then the output of that comes another one of those braided lines. You can see I have it reinforced here. That just helps reinforce this copper line. Then I was able to get these adapters at the local Home Depot. So it's nothing more than an adapter to 3/8, and then again that 3/8 to 1/2-inch, and then into that fitting. You can see the blue tape on there. For those that have struggled with plumbing like I have, this is the tape I use, and I've used this on gas lines, water lines, air lines. This is the Blue Monster, and it's the 3/4 inch tape. But boy, I tell you what, 3 wraps of that, tighten that sucker up and you will have no leaks. Really happy with that product. So then all I did was I loosened that nut, turned this pipe just to give me a decent direction. I'm probably at 35, 40 degrees. And then I tightened that back up. That's just a compression fitting that came from the manufacturer. And then that's about it. To give you an idea of how much water this removes, this is about a month of use. I'll get this down there. You can kind of see that dark to light transition here. But I'm gonna guess that water level's about up to there. All right, so that's a pretty substantial amount of water. I just have this 5-gallon bucket I drain into. I just haven't made a penetration through the shop outside yet. Haven't quite decided what I'm gonna do there for that. But those are the major modifications that I've done to this. That's kind of what it looks like. Again, I'll put these links to these products in the description below. I believe all in I was about $238, maybe $283. Math is hard and it's still the morning. But I'll put some information in the link. Again, these are the modifications I've made. And I'll just show you how well it works with this warning. Please do not do what I'm about to do. I am not responsible for your own personal safety. Like I said, these pipes normally get extremely hot. Obviously, you know that if you've worked around air compressors, but do what I do at your own risk. Again, I'm just one idiot in a shop. But the last modification is this. So everyone's woken up in the middle of the night going, oh crap, did I leave the air compressor on? You know, generally speaking, right, they're run by belts. Belts bind up. They could catch fire or many bad things. No one wants to burn their shop down. So what I did is I broke the pressure switch signal, and I just wired this 20 amp switch in series, right? So I know that air compressor is probably going to call for air. So right now that pressure switch is closed. Now as soon as I close or turn on this switch, turns on the compressor. And the first thing I noticed after doing this modification was that it significantly reduced a lot of the droning. I mean, obviously it's still loud, but it's definitely much nicer to work in here now when this is running or has to run. And I'll let this run here for a minute. Normally, right, this is what gets very hot. Just by running a few seconds, that's already definitely hot enough where I don't want to hold on to it, right? I don't know if you can see that, but it's already starting to collect water in the bottom. But now, coming out of that radiator, right? Like, this is now almost cooler than ambient. I can sit and hold on to this all day. That discharge, that's hot. But again, this has removed a ton of water from my tank. I know this is going to increase the life of this. And so far, I am super happy with it. I'll just go and show you now, right? Maybe I'm done working in the shop. I'm gonna close it up, shut off lights. I just come and all I'm doing is opening up that circuit and the pressure switch, and the air compressor can't run again. That I just have ran in a 1/2-inch PVC conduit. Typically with something like that, depending on your setup, you might have to use the same gauge wire as the motor, or if your compressor has a contactor with some motor controls, you can use that circuit as well. But if someone ever wants to see that, shoot me a comment, leave me a message, and I can definitely make a video specifically on that. So I hope you enjoyed, or at least found interesting, this video on some of the modifications I made. Hopefully I showed you enough views and angles where you're comfortable taking on something like this yourself. That was just a quick video. I wanted to get one out for a tool modification. The next video will be a little bit longer. We are going to go into that guy. And we're going to talk about, in the next video, 3-phase power, buying industrial tools and running them at home, what your options are, how they work, and we're going to whiteboard out what some of that means. So that'll be a little bit longer video, but it's going to be partially instruction, and then we're going to go out and look again at what that looks like on an industrial piece of equipment. Thank you for watching Beyond the Manual. If you like what you see, please like and subscribe. We'll see you next time.